Hello, sixth grade. Well, it's again, I'm really happy to have a couple of more students on board. Julian Montes is back on board. I really enjoyed looking at your drawing, providing a grade for your drawing, Julian. So let's keep up the good work. But where we're at is, how can I put it? So, few. So, how can I put it? So, some have said to me, Mr. Ruiz, I'm having difficulty with the windows. Last week, if memory serves, I focused a bit of time and energy. I put a little bit of effort into the windows, and some of you had a little difficulty with it. But hey, guys, it's okay. I really mean it. I'm happy with what I'm seeing, but it makes things a little more difficult in terms of, well, what am I supposed to do, Mr. Ruiz? You said windows for so and so. You said treasure chest for me. You said 2-point perspective rendering for me. What do you want me to do, Mr. Ruiz? Well, I'm going to try my best to address everyone's needs, or more to the point. Some need help with this, some need help with that, and some need a bit of help with this, that, and the other. So we're going to take this on, okay? So in short, I'll get to the treasure chest in just a minute. So what do I need to do? I need to focus on those windows for just a couple of my students, okay? Just a couple of just very quickly, okay? So, and some haven't moved on. And that said, guys, some haven't moved on, or some are still working on the 1-point perspective, which is perfectly and totally fine, guys. Some have a lot of time and energy to dedicate to, let's say, something like this drawing, and some do not, guys. And that's okay. It's perfectly acceptable, guys. So I don't want to say quickly, but since there's a couple of things I'd like to address, I'll try my best to get to all of those factors, or more to the point, doubts. Okay, I don't want you guys to have any doubts. Okay, so I'm going to address the windows first of all. So I'm going to bring this building as close to me as possible. By that I mean I'm going to draw it as closer to the as close to me, or more to the point, here at the lower part of the paper. Sorry guys, my cat's a little energetic. So in short, I don't want to say foreground, but that's something that that's a term that you may use, but that's something that's typically, I don't know how to put it other than I try not to use the word foreground when it comes to 1-point perspective. But the point being, this part is somewhat closer to you, or more to the point, I'm going to draw it as if it were closer to me, / enlarge it. Okay. So, and specifically, I'm going to focus on the windows, guys, and then I'll move on, okay? Promise. So some of you said, Mr. Ruiz, and I hope you're using it. So I want you to take account of something, guys. So I'm trying my best, and you guys have been doing a really good job. You really have. I just want you to take account of something really quick. Wherever I'm trying to use my ruler wherever or whenever applicable. Now, what does that mean, guys? Well, sometimes I'll need the ruler, and sometimes I may not need it as much. But I want you to use the ruler if at all possible. But then I also understand, guys, that some of you may not have a ruler handy. So we're going to get by, guys. But in short, I just first of all I want to darken the outside now, or rather I want to darken the outline, I should say, of what will be our building, okay? What will be our building. So once I have that, I promise we'll move forward, guys, okay? Okay, I'm going to stop there. Made somewhat of a slight mistake, but we have to move forward. Okay. So, what do we have, guys? We have something that appears to be a three-dimensional rectangular prism, which is fine for our building because we're just going to work on very simplistic buildings, and by that I mean something the likes of rectangular of a rectangular prism. Okay, guys. So very quickly, just let me work in this. All right. So what's going to happen now, kids? The windows that are at the side of the building, they pretty much will be horizontal and vertical. No converging lines when it comes to the windows facing us. But here, the ones facing the street, that's where we really need to take account of our converging lines, guys. So what do I mean by that? Well, very quickly, guys, okay? Very quickly, let me do a couple of windows over here, okay? And let's just do some large windows. We're able to focus on these, okay? So let's go with 3 floors, very large and pronounced windows, okay, guys? Very large and pronounced windows. So I'm gonna go back over to my vanishing point. Now, I have an idea where my window should be, and how do I know that? Well, here, I have these very large windows, or these, this isn't one, this, I don't know if glass could be made entirely that large, but of course, these would of course segment, guys, okay? We would of course break these down. But the point is this. Now we have an idea of where our window begins in terms of the height and where it ends. Okay, in terms of the width, where it begins and where it ends. Okay, guys. So what's happening, guys? I'm putting my pencil down first and foremost at the vanishing point. Then I'm going to rotate my ruler. Okay, and I want it there. Now, why there? Because as you can see, that's the height of the windows. And that still serves as the height of the windows on this side of the street. Or the windows facing the street, rather. Okay? So, back at the vanishing point, slightly rotate my ruler, very slight. There it is. And there it is, guys. Okay? So, what's happening, guys, is that this side of the building, as you can see, guys, horizontal remains horizontal. It remains horizontal. It's still horizontal, guys. It's horizontal. Okay? Horizontal remains horizontal when we're referring to 1 point and 2 point. But it gets a little distorted with vertical. Vertical remains vertical with 1 and 2 point, but it gets a little distorted. Horizontal gets distorted with 2 point, but one step at a time, right, guys? So anyways, I'm gonna get this going, guys. Okay, so you said to me, well, Mr. Ruiz, I don't know what to do with these windows. Well, guys, again, establish the height. Not so much the width right now. Don't worry about that. But establish the height of the windows, okay? I'm going to break this down into 3 segments. 1, 2, 3. Now that you have that, now that you have an idea, guys, then we can start to create the outside of these windows, okay? Okay, and again, now that we have these converging lines, now all we have to do is segment it. That's really all we have to do. Okay, so that's where we're at, guys, okay? That's where we're at. So those are the windows. Now, let's go back over to our treasure chest. Now, thank you, Sabrina. Sabrina, you and a few others are ready to move on. Sabrina and Julian, I believe, are the only 2 thus far that have turned in their treasure chest. So, Sabrina, what you're going to do, you are here, if memory serves, here. You are here. So I want you to add some details in terms of the wood, the latch, or more to the point, the keyhole, and then the wood grain. These treasure chests were made up of wood and steel, quite a bit of steel, of course, for security purposes. But in short, Sabrina, what I want you to do now is add the security features, or let's now start to add the metal pieces. So how would I go about doing that? Well, first of all, I'd figure out, well, how big do I want these things? You know, how big do I want these things? How big, how defined will they be, rather? And once I have an idea, Sabrina, of how defined they should be, or I want them to be, rather, I can go on ahead and start to execute. Remember, lining up my ruler, guys, okay? Lining up my ruler, because I want a nice crisp line, okay? Nice crisp line. Okay? That's all there is to it, guys. Nice crisp line. Okay, let's go back over to one of to the vanishing point on our left, on my left. Okay, there we go. Rotate ruler. There we go. So you're basically putting a small box within a box, Sabrina. That's all you're doing, a box within a box. Now for this one, I actually wanted to segment this into 3. Okay. So back over to your vanishing point, the vanishing point on my right, as you can see. You've been doing a great job, Sabrina. Julian, I missed you this week. You didn't turn in any work this week. But in short, I hope you're okay. And we all feel under the weather at times. And just hope you're okay. And looking forward to seeing your drawing, buddy. Or your addition. Looking forward to you making changes and adding to your awesome treasure chest. Now, guys, you don't have to do this. Now, what do I wanted to establish a depth. And if you want to establish a depth in terms of the steel itself, well, then you still have to adhere. You still have to follow the rules of 1 and 2 point perspective. So as you can see, these notches. Those little marks, I should say, guys. Okay. So now what are we doing, Sabrina? Well, again, if you want to illustrate the depth here. Okay, in terms of well, that's quite a bit of depth there, so I apologize for that, but in short, very quickly. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's very exaggerated. Excuse my mistake. There we go. Better. So that's what you're going to do, Sabrina. You are going to work on your treasure chest, continue to add the details, and we'll take it from there. We will take it from there. Now you could segment this. Well, how many pieces of wood do you want in here, Mr. Wood? How many would you like, Mr. Wood? Well, let's go with maybe 3. In other words, 1, 2, 3. And this isn't arbitrary. That means I'm not just making a decision for the basis, for the sake of a decision. No, I know where this should be, or more to the point, I could just carry on this line here, and that would end up here, lining up here, which tells me where I should put my ruler. Okay, so that's what I want to see, Sabrina. Julian, continue. And so what is my girl, Karina and Stephanie, going to do? Well, they're going to create theirs. So let's go with, yeah, guys, it gets a little sorry for going back and forth, but that's just the nature of the beast, guys. Some kids turn in their work immediately. Some kids, I've had, for example, I've had a couple of kids that have just now turned in work. So it gets a little tricky, guys. And all of you you all need to be at a specific spot, or more to the point, a specific, you need to, by this time you should have completed a specific task or tasks in terms of the unit. But in short, let's go back. So a few of you are ready for 2 point perspective. So we have A, we have our horizon line, okay? B, we have our vanishing points. And C, we need that converging line, those converging lines. So I'm just gonna start pretty much middle of the paper. Vertical line, go over to one of my points. There we go. There we go. Yeah, guys, it's been a little hectic. Like I said, it just gets so tricky. Just as I said, some kids are here, some kids are there. It's just a little tricky. And my treasure chest, I'm sorry, is going to be wider than it is deeper. So this is the width, this is the front, the width, and here's the depth. So I have that, right, guys? See that? 1, 2. So now what do? Well, go back to one of your vanishing points. Of course, you know you have to draw it. So there, vanishing point. Rotate ruler. There it is, guys. And you can darken these lines. So this is 2 point perspective. And very quickly, I'm going to address Julian's concern, or more to the point, something I saw within his drawing. So Julian is he's really he focuses like many of you, and he's moved on to in short, very quickly. So what you're gonna do is create this, and then so I just want to get an idea of this depth here. So it's 1 1/4. Now why? Because I can always rotate my ruler, literally rotate once I take a general measurement, 1 1/4, and I just want to know how big or how wide my treasure chest top would be. Okay, just a very simple technique, just a very simple measurement. And then you mimic or reproduce the angle here. So there we go, guys. Here's our treasure chest. Okay, here's the first. So that's where some of you are at. Sabrina, like I said, a few others. Sabrina, Julian, add the details. Add the details. Add the details. Okay? Add the details. Karina, a few others. Stephanie, Dora, give me the 2-point perspective now. We're ready to move on to 2-point. Now, my guy, Julian. Julian. Well, I really enjoy your drawing. I really did. A few, how can I put it? I would make a few well, let me make 1 or 2 suggestions and I'll leave it at that. So Julian, I really enjoyed your drawing. Thank you for sending it in, buddy. So what you have is this, Julian. So number 1, let's take it. What you did is you're basically preparing something referred to as architectural renderings. You're drawing as an architect would. I love that. I respect that. As a young man, I studied architecture. So again, well done. I never became an architect. I only have a 2-year degree when it comes to architecture. But I did work for a draftsman, and I worked for an architect as a draftsman. So I learned a little bit about this, Julian. And in short, here's what I want you to do, Julian. Number 1, so I have my horizon line, as you can see. 1, 2 vanishing points. Just jot down a plan of your building. So Julian, the building Julian drew for me, and I'm drawing a plan view, guys. A plan view is just another way of saying that you're looking at the building from the top. And architects would draw their buildings like this, and they would take it to another step. But anyways, I'm just going to do this. Julian, here is the overall shape of my building. It's just a little plan view, right, guys? So this is the overall shape of my building. That's it. Now I can begin to draw it. Now, whoa. So what are you going to take account of, Mr. Rose? I'm taking account of this recessed area in here. How it in essence is basically a rectangular prism with a recessed or notched area. It's basically missing. That's what I'm taking into account. Now, why is that important? Well, because if it were indeed nothing more or little more than a rectangular prism, all you would have to do is this, guys. Just like with our treasure chest, it's just a rectangular prism. But Julian has prepared something more than that. It goes beyond the typical. It's atypical. That means, it's completely different in terms of what you would normally see. But in short, so if Julian, let's just say Julian did present something the likes of a rectangular prism, then it would be rather simple in a sense. Well, I would see it as such. But anyways. So let's just say, for instance, Julian presented that. Okay, so that's all we would have. Julian, I'm lining up my ruler whenever possible, okay? Or more to the point, make it a habit of lining up your ruler, as it'll help you produce really crisp lines, okay? So that's what we have. That's what we would have. But no, Julian's house is different, as I said. There's a notched area. So let's start there. Okay. And I don't know what this area is going to serve as, but again, I really like this building. It reminded me of something referred to as postmodern, but I'll stop there. So Julian, I just want to say good job. So now what I'm doing, Julian, is I'm eliminating the areas. I could have just drawn it without it, but in short, I wanted to show you what was happening, because your rectangular prism or something that is not a rectangular prism just needs to make slight adjustments. Again, it's just very slight adjustments, but looking good, Julian, okay? So these are my suggestions. And I loved seeing your drawing, Julian. I really did, buddy. I looked at it and I was like, he's back. And I was so proud of you. And you're one of those students. Every one of my students makes me feel proud, but some a little prouder. Now, why? Because some will take my suggestions and to heart. That means they'll say, you know what? I see it now, Mr. Ruiz, and I really agree. Excuse me, guys. I really agree with what you're doing, or more to the point, thank you. I see it now. I see it. It's always before you. It's always right in front of you, but sometimes you don't see it until I guess you're ready or someone really does it, someone points it out. But anyways, let me go back over to Julian's design here. Is postmodern. All right. Okay. And if I did a good job of adhering, or more to the point of if I properly used 1-point perspective, these should line up, guys. So let's see what I made of, guys. I'm darken these. Okay. So that's what we have, Julian. That's what your house would look like. That's what you presented to me. And this could be, I don't know. So I dig your designs, Julian. You're a talented boy. Now, what are you doing in terms of the roof? What's happening here? No worries. We'll figure that out later. But if you want, you can stop here, figure out where your doors are going to be, unless you're going to have a door in here or whatever the case might be. But I do suggest this. Take inventory of what you're going to do with your roof. Okay, that's all I suggest. Just take inventory. And if you want, you can start to basically jot down or create. And not every roof is a gable-shaped roof. A gable-shaped roof is a roof that is, in essence, the likes of a triangle, or how should I put it? Well, how can I put it other than a gable roof? Is when you look at a house, the roof seems angled, or more to the point, looks like a pyramidal prism. So that's what I'm doing here, Jude. I'm just taking account of what's happening with this roof. I'm saying to myself, well, what's happening? How is this functioning? What's happening here? So that's all I'm asking you to do, Julian. Mimicking this, trying my best to mimic this angle here. So that's what we have, Julian. So that's something that I would like you to develop. Very interesting choice of Julian's very, very industrious, very hardworking. He's the kid. He and Alexander were the first guys that started to draw the inside of a room. And that's very challenging, as you can see, guys. It can be very challenging. I had, in the beginning, I'll stop there, okay? I'll stop there, and I'll leave it at that. But if any of you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, you let me know. And Julian, again, oh my gosh, Julian, it was so good hearing from you. I look so forward to, again, seeing your work, and we'll take it from there, buddy. So keep up the good work, and good to hear from you. Be safe, guys.